All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are done with the introduction, and now we are going to take a look at the body paragraph, the meat of your essay, which is your the points that you'll be discussing. So remember, in a burger, the most important parts are your meat as well as your cheese. So you want to make sure that these are of quality. So following the steps that I'll be showing you, as well as the components that goes inside your body paragraph and evaluation paragraph later, you will actually want to follow these steps to make sure that your ingredients are of quality. All right, so just take note of this, ladies and gentlemen. In your essay, aim for at least 2 body paragraphs for G2. For G3 students, you'll want to aim for 3 body paragraphs. So I know on this slide right here, it shows 2 patties, but 2 patties is for G2, 3 patties is for G3. All right, so basically what you want to take note of is this number here, 2, 2 for G2, 3, 3 for G3. So the difference between these two are basically where the cheese is located, cheese are located. All right, so this is the G3 one, and previously it was the G2 one. Okay, so how do I write my body paragraphs? Basically, you need to understand what is the purpose of the body paragraph. Well, basically, you just want to elaborate and explain with examples. Remember, examples are very important about the factors relating to the given question. So let's say you talk about distance from the sea, altitude, and latitude. All these answer the question, but you want to explain how they actually answer the question. All right. So what is good about this is that you're not learning this from scratch. You have already learned this in your English class. So for example, you remember your Peel paragraph. So basically, a geography body paragraph will follow the Peel structure. So just to recap what Peel is in a paragraph, basically it is point. What are you going to be talking about? Explanation. How does it link to the question, or how does it answer the question? Example, you have to give me data in order to back up whatever you're going to say, and then link it back to the question and answer the question. And if you're putting cheese below your patty, you want to include the evaluation at the end of your body paragraphs. All right, so body paragraphs are meant to lay out your arguments. It's meant to convince your readers that you are right, and whatever point that is mentioned in the other points that are mentioned in your essay are not as strong as compared to your chosen paragraph. So what goes into your body paragraph? In your handout, you're already given this, but you can refer to what I have on my slide here. So basically, point is to mention what your paragraph is about. Explanation is what your factor is about and how it affects the issue in the question. Example, I want all of you to take note of this. You must refer to specific countries, dates, and figures. So you must say, let's say Singapore, what is the figure? 27 degrees Celsius. You must be very specific about your examples. All right. If you give me hypothetical examples, so for example, you say that Singapore is very hot, or if I climb up a mountain, temperature decrease. These are not specific examples, and they do not really count in your examples. And if you do not have very good examples in your body paragraphs, this will definitely affect your score. And then you want to make your link. So we've covered PEE so far. Link is describe how the point mentioned in the body paragraph links to the question. So link it back to the question. And then if you're putting cheese again, if you're using recipe number 2, describe how your point is linked to your overall stand. So I will show you an example. So basically, to answer this question that we're given at the top here, this is how a body paragraph will look like. So you see, I have my point. In this paragraph, I'm going to talk about distance from the sea. And then I'm going to tell you, how does distance from the sea influence temperature? And then I will give you an example referring to specific places, giving you specific data, which is very important. And then I make a link. Hence, we can see that distance from the sea does influence temperature of locations, because the question is asking about influence temperature of location. So you would want to link it back. And if you're adopting recipe number 2, over here, I'm using environment as an evaluative criteria. So I will say that although distance from the sea does influence the range of temperatures that locations experience between summer and winter, the effect of distance from the sea is not obvious in places that do not experience these seasons, such as those such as those in lower latitudes. Thus, the effects of latitude are much more important as latitude affects the degree to which the effects of distance from the sea have on locations. What this essentially is trying to say, it is that I'm trying to say that places in your lower latitudes, they do not experience summer and winter. Therefore, the effect of distance from the sea do not really matter to places, for example, near the equator as well as in your lower latitudes. So I'm trying to convince my readers that, let's say my overall stand is latitude is more important. I'm trying to convince the readers that, hey, based on what I have written in my body paragraph, it seems that distance from the sea is not that important. So I'm trying to get the readers on my side. I'm trying to tell them that distance from the sea is not important, and they should read on and see whether see my explanation on why latitude actually is the more important factor. All right. So for the evaluation, ladies and gentlemen, we have covered this in the earlier videos. Basically, it's the exact same thing that you will see in the early videos when you're planning your essay. So basically, come up with an argument first, and then you write and decide on what evaluative criteria you're using. Then you start writing your essay. All right, and planning your essay. So in structure 1, evaluation will be at the end with the conclusion. But in structure 2, you will include the cheese with the patties. All right, so we've already seen this. So I'm going to just skim through whatever that we have done over here. If you need to rewatch this part, please go and revisit the earlier parts of the video. The earlier videos, I mean. So we've already seen this, we've already seen this, we've already seen this. All right, so we have already also covered this, but just to recap with all of you, we have 4 different evaluative criteria that we can use in geography. Environment, which refers to cause and effect. Scale, which refers to the extent or size of something. Duration, which refers to time, frequency, and maybe how often something happens. And then lastly, space, which refers to specific places. All right. So similar to what I have already shown you in the previous videos, an evaluation basically sounds like this. And over here, I'm using environment, which is cause and effect. So I am trying to tell you here that distance from the sea, that latitude actually influences how much distance from the sea influences temperature. So remember, causes are usually more important than the effect. So therefore, latitude, as I'm arguing it, is the more important factor. All right. So basically, what I'm going to show you are more examples, but do take note that the examples that I'll be showing you is following recipe number 2, in which the cheese will go with the patty. So what you see over here, and you have also you're also given this in your handout, basically the parts in red are your evaluation. All right. So basically, I am putting my evaluation with my body paragraph. But if you're choosing recipe number 1 or structure number 1, your evaluations will be in the conclusion at the end. All right. So basically, what I want you to take note of is this. I want you to pause the video, read through the evaluation. Basically, what I am trying to show you is that the evaluation functions as a way for you to prove that you are right, and to also address that the other factors are not as important or not as strong as your chosen factor. So that is the purpose of your evaluation. Evaluations are quite tricky to get when you're first starting out with them, but rest assured, if you keep on practicing, you will get better at writing evaluations, which makes a very, very juicy burger that will give you a really good score. All right. So all of this has already been covered. I've already done this with you. This is the essay planning format. Remember that to plan out your essay before writing them. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll look at the conclusion, which will then be a wrap up of our essay writing series.